Making shots. That's my swagger. You feel me? I got to get back to the basics first. Then I got to get my swagger.
Somebody that trusts me, that believes in me, that understands me, that I'm just not a, I'm not a system player. I am a system.
I don't think it's that bold of a take to suggest that this was the worst case scenario for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, of course, I know the James Harden trade is still relatively premature, but the start that they got off to is a really bad start, to say the least. And it seems like the hole they're digging is just deeper and deeper and deeper, and unfortunately, they're all in on this course. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Leading up to the season, I spammed predictions at you guys consistently. Michael Porter Jr. needed over 5.5 rebounds in his season debut. Tyreek Hill just needed a touchdown, and Steph Curry just needed 1 point. Shout out to those that tailed. For those of you guys that were able to make money, we're giving away our picks for free all season long for the NBA and NFL on my Instagram at TheFlightMike. And right now, when you use promo code microphone on PrizePicks, they'll match your deposit up until $100. Thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on? Oh my god, my voice is dead. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? It's only been 2 weeks since the Los Angeles Clippers gutted out the remainder of their assets and decided to make the most unnecessary trade in NBA history, giving up Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a 2029 pick swap, and an additional first-round pick from the OKC Thunder. The Los Angeles Clippers did it in desperation to try to salvage the core of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard that hasn't been that successful so far. And I didn't really understand why they felt it was necessary, especially after bringing Russell Westbrook back on a bargain of a contract. But if there is one person that's very happy about this trade, it's Marcus Morris. You see, while James Harden gave us the most cringeworthy introductory interview of all time,
I think the game, and I'm a creator on the court. You know what I mean? So if I got a voice to where I can, hey coach, I see this, what you think about this? Then it's like, all right, hey. Somebody that trusts me, that believes in me, that understands me, that I'm just not a, I'm not a system player. I am a system.
Marcus Morris seems relatively happy not to be on the Clippers, saying, honestly, bro, I don't want to speak on that. I'm happy to be home in Philly. I'm trying to get started and help the team win in any capacity and try to reach the goal and winning the championship. You know what's really funny about this? The Philadelphia 76ers haven't lost since they traded James Harden. Meanwhile, James Harden is in probably one of the most comical situations that I think I've ever seen in NBA history, where he went from being the second option on a potential Eastern Conference championship team at minimum, all the way to a player that might need to come off of the bench. Could you think about that for a second? James Harden demanded a trade to the Los Angeles Clippers, thinking that grass was going to be greener in Los Angeles for some reason. At the very minimum, I have to say that I'd assume that the club scene is better in LA than Philadelphia. And the reality of the situation was that the Los Angeles Clippers are still winless whenever they're featuring him in a starting lineup with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac, and Russell Westbrook. Don't have nearly as much depth as they did prior to this and are consistently going backwards in a very loaded Western Conference. Now, the season is still young, but to give you an idea, the Los Angeles Clippers only have one more win than the Memphis Grizzlies right now, and the Detroit Pistons, who are both the worst teams in the entire NBA. And they had an opportunity to rectify all of this versus the Denver Nuggets. Now, how would that game go? Well, I saw a much improved effort from the Los Angeles Clippers here, and obviously this team is still trying to figure it out. I'm still by no means threatened by this team as a playoff team at all, but the fact that they were able to hang with the top team in the Western Conference is very significant. I'll tell you what I think is the number one problem that the Clippers currently have. It's that you have all of these players that at one point or another in their careers were the top option on their teams. And you even heard it from James Harden earlier on in this video saying that I'm not a system player. I am the system. It's really interesting, and this is something I can never really wrap my head around, to be honest. James Harden was a top option on the Philadelphia 76ers in a much less competitive conference with a general manager that coddled him. I'm sure at this point a lot of you guys have seen that Bally Sports announcer's take on James Harden, where he completely ethers him. And if you haven't, it's probably because Bally Sports actually took down the incredible piece he had on Harden. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Ask the producer to pipe this into the Clippers locker room so I can talk to you, James. I hope you're taking notes. I'm telling you in advance, you're welcome for the wisdom I'm about to spew. Because listen, I get on my knees every night and pray for someone to believe in me like Daryl Morey believed in you. You wanted a certain coach, they brought in Mike D'Antoni. You want to play a certain style, they played it. You wanted Dwight Howard, they brought him in and got rid of him when you were tired of him. You wanted Chris Paul, they brought him in and got rid of him when you were tired of him. They brought in your old friend Russell Westbrook. You want to go to Vegas on off days? They looked away. You wanted the team to stay over so you could go out at night. They changed the schedule, and it didn't work. And you know what? You said, I'm going to break up with my whoopee. Not good enough. I see the bright lights in New York. I want to go there. My old pal, Kevin Durant. It's going to work. The big three. And all after 1 year, you want it out. You realize, oh my gosh, I took this guy for granted, the guy that believed in me. I went back with Daryl Morey. They traded Ben Simmons for you. How did they pull that off? And you know what? You went there and you got a partner who got the MVP. He won the MVP. And what did you say afterwards? You said, they didn't hand me the reins. You're the point guard. You were holding the reins. And what did you do when you had the reins? You scored 9 points in Game 7 against Boston. You blew a 3-2 series lead. So they fired their coach. Not good enough. You broke up with the guy believed in you again. You said, the bright lights of LA, that's where I want to go. Let's see if that works. Listen, James, have you ever had those friends who had bad roommates? Over and over, they complained about their bad roommates. This guy's terrible. The bad roommate here. They never thought to be self-aware enough that they're the bad roommate. They're the problem. Hey, James, you're the problem. If this doesn't work this year in this system with this team, then you're going to go and point fingers at everybody else, and you're going to go back home and you're going to start swiping right for another team, and there's not going to be anybody left. Because, James, you're not the beard, you're not the system, you're the problem.
Oh, and the mic drop, Devin.
So what are my takeaways in this Los Angeles Clippers loss to the Denver Nuggets? I know a lot of you guys clicked on this video expecting me to completely obliterate the Los Angeles Clippers because they're a very easy team to ether. I've been doing it for the past 3 years, ever since they blew a 3-1 series lead to the Denver Nuggets in the bubble, which, by the way, Lou Williams apparently said they did on purpose.
It was a struggle to get us to the bubble to begin with. We didn't even want to go, you know, so I think just mentally we came into it without just the right mindset to finish the job. We didn't even want to be there. And I think once we got there and we was in it, you know, I think I was in the bubble 97 days was how long I was there. And I think about day 67, I was like, let's get the fuck out of here. You know, so I think mentally we wasn't in it for the long game. We didn't really see, you know, the pot of gold at the end of it. We were starting to hear the rumblings like, oh, nobody's going to respect this chip and all of that. And so I think we kind of just took our foot off the gas.
Side note, I know this is really off topic, but the fact that you're expecting anyone that is a basketball fan at all whatsoever to believe that you were up against the Denver Nuggets 3-1, and then all of a sudden said, you know what? No one's going to respect this ring, so we're going to stop trying. Let's blow a 3-1 series lead to the Denver Nuggets. If you expect fans to believe that shit, then Lou Williams, you have a rude awakening coming to you, brother. I mean, they played a very intense series against the Dallas Mavericks in round 1. We remember that. I remember that. It was awesome. Shitting on the Clippers aside, they actually proved something to me in this game. They could hang with the defending NBA champions in a tournament atmosphere. In a must-win scenario, the Clippers were desperate for this victory. They desperately want their first win with James Harden. They went and put it all out on the line there. And the one thing I've noticed the most that is going to be very difficult for this Clipper team, that is going to determine whether or not they can potentially be a contender. I don't want to say championship, but potentially be a contender, is whether or not all of these players that at one point or another were MVPs or finals MVP, or just Paul George, who's a really freaking good basketball player and was a #1 option at some point, is they need to decide what their roles are. They are no longer #1 options on this team. Russell Westbrook, what is your role? Because you're not touching the freaking ball on every possession anymore. The game isn't running through you anymore. Your entire team isn't trying to figure out how to get you triple doubles anymore, which is an incredible achievement. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but that's not the scenario you're in anymore. James Harden, we're not running isolations for you each and every play anymore. Mike D'Antoni isn't your coach anymore. You are now on a team with 3 other future Hall of Famers, including yourself, making it 4, that is trying to win a championship for a team that has been ridiculed more than any team in NBA history, especially given the amount of talent that they have. James Harden had a very solid outing. He had 21 points, 4 assists, shot 7 of 15 from the field. Russell Westbrook didn't have as good of an outing, 4 of 12 from the field. Paul George went off for 35 points. Kawhi Leonard had one of his worst games, shooting 35% from the field for 15 points. And despite all of that, they were really close to sending this game to overtime. Paul George, the ball did wedge on the final shot of the game, but they were leading with 3.5 minutes left to go against a team that has tremendous chemistry and just won the NBA Finals. And they did so on the road. There is progress being made for the Los Angeles Clippers. It's just how much progress could be made. And is the light at the end of the tunnel them hoisting up a Larry O'Brien trophy? Can this team all buy in and win a championship together? Because again, James Harden has been in a scenario similar to this before. If you want to look at it from an optimist point of view, the fact that it was this close to begin with is a huge W for the Los Angeles Clippers. But if you're a Clipper fan, I want to know your take on this situation. Do you think that the Los Angeles Clippers are making substantial progress? Do you think this team can compete in the West potentially for an NBA championship? Do you think they could beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series? Aside from that, I don't know if you guys heard, but Draymond Green quite literally had Rudy Gobert in a chokehold in another game. We made a video on that 30 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't know how I'm getting these videos out so quickly either. So make sure you go and check it out. I'll leave it in the end screen. I'll meet you guys there. It's a funny one as well. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.